Okay, why don't we start getting ready for this round 10, which I believe is the last round today in the playoffs. We'll have more play tomorrow. Yeah, pending tiebreakers, but last regular round. So let's see, we have in this room Lambert versus Johns Creek B. Why don't, Lambert, you start with the buzzer checking us to say your name. Well, that's a good reason why we buzzer check. Okay, successful buzzer check. We have proven that.
Tejas.
Manu.
Sanjay.
Pranav.
Akash.
Michelle.
Moses. Aiden.
Alright. You will likely be given some additional instructions after this round to confirm records.
After this round is over, just hang out.
Is everyone ready to go? Alright, here's toss one. An author wrote that if this character had not read all those novels, this character's fate might have been different in the perpetual orgy. This character. That's power. Bonus. In January 2023, the Camp Blaze Marine Corps base opened on this island. For 10 points each, name this island also home to Anderson Air Force Base. Although people born in this westernmost U.S. territory are citizens, they cannot vote in presidential elections while living here.
Probably Guam.
Sure.
No, westernmost, right?
Westernmost.
It should be Puerto Rico.
Answer?
Puerto Rico.
Guam. Over 40% of Chamorro families on Guam are on food stamps, in part due to high grocery prices caused by this legislation. This legislation requires that U.S. flagged ships and crew transport goods between U.S. ports.
No. Chips Act.
No answer.
Chips Act.
This is the Jones Act. Guam will likely be devastated by DF-26 missiles if China launches an invasion of this other island. DPP candidate Lai Ching-te won a 2024 presidential election here.
Taiwan.
That's right for 10.
It's fine.
Toss 2. 30 years of experiments in this industry are recorded in the journals of 18th century Yale president Ezra Stiles. Jean Lhomme of Derby may have been assassinated in 1722 for stealing a doubler used in this industry from the Sardinians. Jean de Diet-Soult led an army into Lyon to suppress workers in this industry in the first Canoe Revolt. Equipment needed for this industry was stolen by 2 Nestorian monks on a mission funded by Justinian the Great.
Like silk industry.
That's right for 10.
Yeah.
Bonus for Lambert. In a play by this author, Annette throws up on a coffee table during a meeting between the parents of Ferdinand and Bruno, who had a fight in the park. For 10 points each, name is French author of God of Carnage. Serge purchases an all-white painting on which his friend doodles a skier in this author's play Art.
Is it Janae or Arnaud? I think
Janae.
This is Yasmina Reza. Reza is a 4-time winner of a French drama award named for this playwright of Tartuffe and the Misanthrope.
Molière.
In Art, Serge has this job, which Zenarel is forced, in spite of himself, into serving in a Molière play. Molière ironically died while playing the character Argon, who will only let his daughter marry a man with this job.
Doctor.
That's right for 20.
Oh, yeah.
Toss 3. Bonds between these molecules are indicated by parentheses in dot parentheses notation. Long-range bonds between these molecules form in the wrong order in a pseudoknot and can create a 3-way junction in a aptamer. Pi stacking between these molecules stabilizes adjacent rungs of the stem of a hairpin. These
mRNA.
what was your answer?
mRNA.
No.
Oh shit.
Pi stacking between these molecules stabilizes adjacent rungs of the stem of a hairpin. These heterocyclic molecules are linked by either 2 or 3 hydrogen bonds, which anneal around 60 degrees Celsius, but melt at 95 in a thermal cycler. A nitrogen atom in these molecules is bonded to the 1' carbon of deoxyribose. The purine class of these molecules bonds to complementary pyrimidines to hold together the phosphodiester backbone. For name these molecules that pair up in DNA.
Nitrogenous base.
Yes. Or DNA bases. Bonus. A painting title for this figure was exhibited alongside a poem that calls the artist's wife Gala my this figure for 10 points each. In this figure, her title is a painting that depicts a backward statue standing on top of a chessboard. In that painting, this figure's hands spring out of the ground to hold a cracked egg.
Maybe like Venus? Venus?
Narcissus.
Oh,
This
nice.
Japanese artist handed out metal balls at the Venice Biennale for her performance piece Narcissus Garden. She is best known for her Instagram-friendly infinity mirror rooms and her frequent use of polka dots.
We know. Liechtenstein final.
Was it?
Liechtenstein?
That's Kusama. An artist with this surname created a drawing of Narcissus clasping his face in his hands. That artist with this surname was a grandson of the author of The Interpretation of Dreams.
Is it Freud? Freud.
For 10.
Nice.
Plus 4. Bridget Nilsson sang the role of one of these people on 3 landmark recordings conducted by George Schulte. These characters are represented by a 9/8 brass motif outlining B minor arpeggios and repeatedly cry Hoyo Toho. After her father bids her a tender farewell, one of these people is put...
Valkyrie.
That's right for power.
Nice.
Bonus. Devices that measure this quantity are often used in seismographs, so their proof mass is sometimes called seismic mass. For 10 points each, name this quantity, the rate of change of velocity.
Acceleration.
Aircraft accelerometers are included in navigation systems named for this adjective. This adjective describes non-accelerating reference frames.
Inertial. Yeah.
In a MEMS accelerometer, displacement of the seismic mass yields a measurable change in this electromagnetic quantity, which scales with 1 over separation distance. Positioning systems that detect displacement via this quantity are contrasted with ones that detect eddy currents.
But 1 over separation distance, like potential, right? Sure. Because R, potential.
It's capacitance. 20.
Oh. Oh. It's really answer.
Plus 5. During the creation of this substance, the twice chanted invocation, "We beg you to hear us," interrupts the litany of the saints on Epiphany's Eve. Unlike the greater blessing that takes place on Theophany, Mary is heavily invoked during this substance's lesser blessing in Orthodox churches. In modern times, an aspergillum delivers this substance instead of a hyssop branch. Exercised...
Oh, like wine?
No.
Something.
Exercise salt is added in a cross pattern when creating this substance, which wards off misfortune when spread during automobile and house blessings. Newly arrived congregants make the sign of the cross with this substance taken from stoups located at the entrance. For 10 points, babies are immersed in what sacred substance during baptism?
Water.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I need to prompt.
Holy water.
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, read the answer line. Bonus. At this civilization's trading post of Shortugai, archaeologists found cornelian beads that resembled those made at Dolavira. For 10 points each, name the civilization which scholars associate with the Sumerian trading partner Muleha. A bronze sculpture produced by this civilization depicts a performer wearing bangles.
Like Indus River, right?
Yeah, Indus River Valley.
Yeah.
Actually, so you said Indus River Valley civilization. They are usually, the answer line just has Indus Valley civilization, so I am not going to take that.
Can we protest?
Yeah,
Protest.
protest.
Okay. Shortugai was situated near the mines of this semi-precious blue stone, once thought to be used in Babylon's Ishtar Gate.
Sapphire?
Yeah.
Lapis?
Yeah, probably a lot.
Lapis?
Yes, some scholars have argued that the Harappans spoke a precursor to this language family based on similarities between Maluha and a word for sesame. Rulers of the Chola Empire spoke a language from this family.
Proto-Indo-European? Proto-Indo-European.
That's Dravidian, so that's 10 points for now and 10 on protest.
What is that?
Okay. Top 6. Charles Blagden assisted this scientist in measuring the height of Garth Hill with a tripod barometer. The scientist criticized the term latent heat, but used it in the manuscript Heat, which, like the scientist's discovery of Ohm's law, was published posthumously. This non-French scientist observed the output of a device inherited from Jean Michel by using a telescope to read Vernet scales through a hole. Cambridge's Department of Physics is named for this scientist who identified inflammable air that was later realized to be pure hydrogen. Famous English scientists who used torsion balance to measure the Earth's density, indirectly making the first measurement of the gravitational constant.
Cavendish.
That's right. Bonus. Answer the following questions about the pair of IPA consonants represented by theta and eta, which are both typically spelled as TH in English for 10 points each. Theta and eta are sounds made with the tips of the tongue touching these body parts since they have an interdental place of articulation.
Teeth.
Yes. Theta and eta are distinct because eta has this characteristic in which producing the sound causes the larynx to vibrate. Similarly, ba has this characteristic, but pa does not.
Is it aspirated? Wait, no. Wait,
No, I think
it uses like the. It might be aspirated.
Answer.
Aspirated.
It's voiced. The difference between theta and eta is demonstrated by words thigh and thigh, an example of one of these pairs of words that differ only in a single phoneme.
Oh.
Homophone.
That's not homophone.
Answer?
Logophone.
These are minimal pairs, so 10 points.
Whatever.
Toss of 7. A 1982 Philip Glass opera examines how this artist was acquitted for the murder of Harry Larkins while claiming to be insane after falling off a wagon. Nude women kiss in front of a black tiled wall in a landmark work by this artist. This artist, who changed his name to resemble an Anglo-Saxon king, projected images of athletes onto a rotating glass disc. To best capture Sally Gardner, this San Franciscan set up...
Morbridge.
Yes, power.
Nice.
What's his first name? The first Edward Morbridge.
Bonus. A 1978 book by Peter Matheson chronicles a months-long search for one of these animals. For 10 points each, name these animals. In the opening of a short story, the frozen carcass of one of these animals is mysteriously located at a place the Messiah called the House of God.
Oh, goat.
Answer?
Goat.
It's a leopard. In the snow leopard, Matthiasson is aided in his search by footprints on this mountain. In John Krakauer's Into Thin Air, 8 people die trying to summit this Himalayan mountain.
Yeah, Everest.
In this novel, Ali Cohn experiences a hallucinatory vision upon scaling Everest. She dies later in this novel after Farishta pushes her off the Everest Villas apartment complex.
It's like
Answer?
Satanic verses.
Yes, 20. Toss up 8. In 1704, this currency was the first to be decimalized. It's not the franc, but in 1768, a ruler replaced copper versions of this currency with promissory notes printed in the assignation bank. Hard currencies, rather than this currency, were required to purchase luxury goods in state-run Tortzen stores. A 1998 crisis name for this currency followed a fall in the MySex rate in a country damaged by shock therapy. The Kamakan used a convertible form of this currency, which was produced at...
Ruble?
That's right for 10.
I forgot. Wait, was shock therapy in power?
No.
Yeah. Okay.
For 10 and your bonus. This chord progression begins with a perfect cadence followed by the sequence flat 7, flat 3, flat 7, minor 1. For 10 points each, name this Iberian chord progression that Arcangelo Corelli used as a basis for the 12th and last of his Opus 5 violin sonatas.
La Folia.
Yes. La Folia was often used as a basis for these slow triple meter Spanish dances. This dance was typically the third movement of the Baroque dance suites, coming after the Allemande and Corante and before the Gigue.
Sarvant.
Yes. The Sarabande from this composer's fourth suite for harpsichord uses a chord progression based on La Folia. This composer also wrote the oratorio Messiah.
Oh no.
30 points. Toss up 9. Purpose-built facilities for this activity often have features named for the Hubba Hideout in San Francisco. 92-year-old master planner Edmund Bacon engaged in this activity to protest Mayor John Street's crackdown on this activity in Philadelphia's Love Park. Altos designed for kidney-shaped pools inadvertently provided for the vert form of this activity in Southern California. People engaging in this activity at the converted Church of Santa Barbara in Oviedo, Spain, do so thanks to extensions for wall riding. A Mark Vallée photo book documents obstacles placed on rails to discourage grinding in this activity. For inputs in this activity,
Graffiti?
no. Whose namesake parks let participants practice their kickflips.
Skating.
Yes, or prompt action on skating.
Skateboarding.
Yes. That's right for 10. Bonus. The Supreme Court Justice was the first to be called to testify at their own confirmation hearing. For 10 points each, name this justice who wrote the majority opinion in the Minersville case. He was appointed to the Jewish seat previously held by Benjamin Cardozo and Louis Brandeis.
Frankfurter.
Yeah, try.
Frankfurter.
2 answers required. Frankfurter was painted as a communist because he defended these 2 men who were executed for supposedly robbing a store in Braintree.
Yeah, Sasha Menzeli.
Sacco invented. Yeah.
Yeah, the Minersville case ruled that schools could compel students to salute the flag and perform this action. In 1954, the words "under God" were added to text used for this action.
Pledge allegiance.
30 points. Toss of 10. In this city, a woman who is called a veritable peacemaker loses her plum cake on a train and repeats the first verse of a song twice. A boy in the city thinks about the words "nomon," "simony," and "paralysis" before overhearing his aunt discussing the death of Father Flynn. A man.
Dublin?
Yes. Power.
Yeah, I couldn't remember the city for the first time.
Bonus. Al-Tabari relates that Muhammad had a sakuna resembling the white face of one of these animals placed within his heart. For 10 points each, name these animals. After one of them belonging to Abu Hurayya pounced on a snake, Muhammad scratched its back and gave all these animals the ability to land on their feet.
Cats.
Cats.
In one hadith, Muhammad relates how a woman was condemned to this place for starving a cat. People who fall off a bridge called Sirat end up in this Islamic hill.
I don't remember the name of it, bro.
Sorry.
I think Stitcher the J, I'm pretty sure.
Answer?
Jinnah.
What?
Jinnah.
No, this is Jahannam.
Oh, Jinnah.
Maulana Ashraf Ali Thanvi narrated a story of how a man saw a cat's face while staring at a saint of this tradition, whose graves are pilgrimage sites called dragas. This tradition includes the Mevlevi order.
Sufi.
Sufism.
Pretty sure. Wait.
Yeah.
Sufi.
Sufism.
Yes. All right, that is the half. And I have Lambert 280, Johns Creek B 40. Everyone ready? Here's toss of 11. Despite hearing news about this event, officials at Clark Field failed to swiftly implement the Rainbow 5 plan. The first Roberts Commission investigated this event. A few days before this event, Cordell Hull delivered a note embargoing oil exports. This event led to the demotion of husband Kimmel.
Just Pearl Harbor.
Yes.
Nice.
Power. Bonus. Unlike most other thermodynamic state functions, this quantity is defined to be 0 at absolute 0. For 10 points each, name this measure of a system's disorder. Yes. The other state functions are defined to be 0 at this temperature, the thermodynamic standard state. Please give your answer rounded to the nearest integer in kelvins or degrees Celsius, but do not give the temperature of STP, which is lower.
Yeah, lower than 270 Kelvin. Heck.
Answer?
288.
No, 298
That's
Kelvin.
literally what I said.
The entropy of other pressures is calculated by integrating the coefficient of this process times volume. Lord Kelvin first measured absolute 0 by realizing the coefficient of this process is 1 over temperature for an ideal gas. Answer? No, this is thermal expansion. 10 points. Toss of 12. James Longacre created a design of this figure wearing a Native American headdress. A sculpture of this figure originated as a hooded peasant after its artist was stunned by the image of Nubian deities at Abu Simbel. This figure steps onto a rock in a design whose relief had to be lowered by Augustus St. Gaudin. Aztec pyramids partly inspired Richard Morris Hunt's design for a pedestal for a statue of this figure, whose creation was encouraged by Edward René de Laboulaye. This figure holds a Roman-style tablet and has a broken shackles around...
Washington?
No. Her feet in an 1886 statue whose metal framework was completed by Gustave Eiffel. For 10 points, Frederick Auguste Bartholdi designed a copper statue of what figure holding a torch over New York's harbor?
The Statue of Liberty.
That's right, for 10. I didn't write this, but I'm distantly related to James Longacre.
No, see, that's not. See, Washington one is.
Bonus. Sierra Leone's Poro healers confiscate examples of these objects made from brown sugar to stop witches from spreading disease. For 10 points each, the devil gives what magical objects in Carl Maria von Weber's opera Der Freischütz? The beast of Zevudon was slain by these objects derived from a melted chalice.
Swords, shields,
Sand. Glass.
Answer?
Glass.
These are bullets. Sokobana healers use razors to cut this body part to strengthen their powers. An ashamed deity wearing a Munda Mala reveals this body part as she steps on Shiva's chest.
What?
Answer?
Her mouth.
What?
Her mouth.
Prompt?
Her teeth.
No, her tongue. Other Poro Society members don straw to mimic the devil while performing this action. A stick is secured to the Gambian Kumpo's head as they perform this action to the beat of drums.
Just dancing.
Dancing.
Yes, 10.
Bro.
Toss 13. In a poem title for this location, the speaker describes how they fail to love a tree in each person to describe their disillusionment with modern life. A poem about this place uses the imagery of fingers emerging from the jungle. That poem about this place juxtaposes two concepts in each line, beginning with sidereal eagle misty vine. The speaker of one poem plunges their hand into the ground at this place and feels long-forgotten heartbeats. While at this place, the speaker asks unseen people to speak through my words and my blood.
Brain?
What?
The brain?
No.
I'm misremembering.
And rise up and birth with me. For 10 points, the second section of Pablo Neruda's Canto General is titled For the Heights of what ancient city in Peru?
Machu Picchu.
That's right.
Yeah.
Bonus, Sir John is arrested for drunkenness while wearing a frock in a play titled For a Provoked One of These People by John Van Brew. For 10 points each, name these people, one of whom titles a restoration comedy by William Wycherley, in which Horner uses multiple double entendres while describing his china collection.
People. Chester.
As a wife. In another play, The Merry Wives of Windsor, created by this author, prank his recurring character, Falstaff.
Shakespeare. Is that an author?
Yeah.
Oh, Shakespeare.
Yes. An author with this first name and last name, Southern, wrote The Wives' Excuse. A different author with this first name is the subject of Robert Bolt's play, A Man for All Seasons, and described an island with no property.
Robert.
Thomas is in Sir Thomas More. 10 points. Toss 14. Note to players, 2 answers required. People with these 2 traits are analogized to silent witnesses in a pioneering text of a movement centered on them, A Voice from the South. The thought of a movement centered on people with these 2 traits titles a 1990 book describing them as the outsider within. A UCLA scholar coined one concept in papers like Mapping the Margins to analyze employment discrimination against people with these 2 identities. Patricia Hill Collins identified harmful controlling images that people with these 2 identities contend with, like the matriarch and welfare queen.
African American woman.
Yes.
Oh.
For 10. Bonus, answer the following about the Queer Palm Prize, which is awarded to films that deal with LGBTQ plus issues and themes for 10 points each. The Queer Palm is awarded every year at this French film festival, which also awards the Palme d'Or.
Ken.
Near the end of this 2019 Queer Palm winner, the protagonist sees a former love interest at a performance of Vivaldi's Summer. In this film, a woman commissioned to paint an aristocrat falls in love with her over the course of a week to a remote island in Brittany.
Any film? Any ideas?
No, I don't watch
I don't know.
Answer.
Moonlight.
Portrait of a Lady on Fire. A director from this country was nominated for the Queer Palm in 2016 for his film The Handmaiden. A film from this country was the first non-English language film to win the Oscar for Best Picture.
South Korea.
That sounds pretty. Yeah.
Hopefully.
20 points.
Cook the rest.
Plus 15. A quantity describing this phenomenon is estimated iteratively via the reciprocal of its square root with the Colebrook-White equation. A quantity describing this phenomenon appears on the vertical axis of a log-log plot that features a steep line to the left of many nearly parallel decreasing curves to show when that factor of this phenomenon equals 64 over the Reynolds number.
Track.
No. This phenomenon drives head loss, which is calculated in the Darcy-Weisbach equation. A form of drag named for this phenomenon is driven by turbulence against object's skin. A pipe's roughness contributes to this phenomenon, causing energy loss during fluid flow. For example, is force that is reduced by lubricants.
Friction.
Friction is correct. Bonus, in 1923, a Harlem newspaper alleged a cover-up about this man's skin color. For 10 points each, name this man who owned an iron dagger made from a meteorite. A blockbuster exhibit on the treasures of this ruler at the Met in the 1970s benefited the Philae Temple complex.
Oh, this is Tutankhamun, right? Yeah.
Yes. This band signed an exclusive newspaper contract to print Harry Barton's King Tut photos. When this financial backer of the expedition asked, "Can you see anything?" Howard Carter answered, "Yes, wonderful things."
Lord Carnival.
Yeah.
The world tour of Tut's treasures in the 1970s were made possible by an indemnity act signed into law by this president, who succeeded fellow Republican Richard Nixon.
Yo,
Four.
Jerry.
Four.
30 points.
What was the hard on?
Carnarvon.
Wait, that's not even.
Task 16. One of these creatures is called prosperous in proper sense, and is urged to make miniature Valhalla of my heart in a Gwendolyn Brooks poem titled For a Light and Diplomatic One. Another poem contrasts one of these creatures that float downstream till the current ends with one that stands on the grave of dreams.
Caged bird.
Yes, I can take that.
Yeah.
It's power.
How many times am I gonna get that from?
Bonus, the CFA's LIDA experiment detects the 21 centimeter lines of photons emitted from this cosmological period. For 10 points each, name this period preceded by recombination in which the universe was transparent, but the only sources of photons were photon decoupling and hydrogen's spin-flip transition.
Party pop? Yeah, sure. Plunky pop.
Knows the cosmic dark age. LIDA detects 21 centimeter lines and values of 15 to 30 for this quantity denoted Z. This quantity measures the increase of wavelengths towards a namesake color.
Oh, redshift. Yeah.
The dark ages were followed by this period characterized by gravitational stripping of electrons from neutral hydrogen. The earliest stars and black holes formed during this period.
Oh, Stelliferous maybe? Stelliferous?
Reionization, 10 points. Toss-up 17. One side in this conflict rallied around a slogan that followed the name of a leader in this conflict with the phrase, "or we burn the country." Tensions in this conflict increased when the Air Force Intelligence Directorate dumped a mutilated body in the city of Dara. This conflict began with a mass revolution of dignity against the
Oh no, I'm forgetting. Lebanon.
No. Against the Alawite-dominated ruling party. An American president refused to further escalate this conflict after one side crossed a red line and perpetrated the Ghouta chemical attack. A photograph shows a 2-year-old refugee from this conflict named Alan Kurdi, who drowned when attempting to cross to Greece in 2015. For 10 points, name this ongoing conflict in a country mostly led by Bashar al-Assad.
Syrian Civil War.
That's right. For 10.
When did power end on that?
President.
So after Alloy?
Yes.
Bro.
Dude, sorry, bro.
You good?
Sorry, dude. That was
Bonus. An early play from this conflict focused on a fictionalized trial for the traitor John Andre. For 10 points each, name this conflict the setting of plays by William Dunlap and Mercy Otis Warren, as well as the musical 1776.
The American Revolution. I don't know.
Yeah.
The American Revolution.
Yes. In this play by Royal Tyler, the foppish British sycophant Mr. Dimple and the patriotic Colonel Manley compete for the hand of Maria von Ruff. This 1787 play is the earliest comedy from the U.S.
Comedy of Errors.
The Contrast. Comedy in The Contrast was inspired by the plays of this non-American author, one of which is performed in The Contrast itself. Malapropisms originate from this author's play The Rivals.
Shoot. Schiller.
Richard Sheridan.
Schiller.
For 10 points. Toss up 18. Description acceptable. Robert Schumann quoted this piece in his song The Two Grenadiers, which is included in the second Suzuki Method book. Hector Berlioz dedicated his grandiose 1830 orchestration of this piece to Claude Joseph Roger de Lille. In an E-flat major work, the brass play this piece to contrast the tambourine-accompanied folk song At the Gate, while its first instance interrupts the Troparion of the Holy Cross. Lyrics in this song include "Against us the bloody flag of tyranny is raised."
Lambert High.
Yes.
Nah.
Sorry.
Is that the French anthem?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it 10?
Yes. So that is 10 for bonus. A philosopher with a surname addressed the gravest problem of grounding normative principles without absolutism in an essay defending cultural pluralism. For 10 points each, give the surname of the dean of the Harlem Renaissance. An earlier philosopher with this surname argued against Catholic persecution in a letter concerning toleration.
I think that's Locke.
Okay, Law.
Like
Answer?
John.
Yep. Alain Locke argues for a pluralism of these concepts in an essay titled These Concepts and Imperatives. Axiology is a study of these concepts which are contrasted with facts in a dichotomy related by the is-ought problem.
Ideas.
Like, no, opinions, right?
Oh, opinions, yes.
Yeah,
Opinions.
Opinions.
Values. Elaine Locke's value theory also responds to the value anarchism of this psychologist who wrote Pragmatism.
Oh, psychologist, right? Is that James or is it dude?
James.
Answer?
James.
20.
Okay, yeah.
William James Kenton.
Plus 19. L-glutamine powder was approved to treat this disease in 2017. Bluebird Bio's lentiviral treatment for this disease was approved on the same day in November 2023 as the first ever CRISPR gene therapy, which also treats this condition. For 50 years, the only available drug for this molecular disease was a derivative of urea that activates synthesis of an alpha-gamma tetramer, normally made only by infants. This disease can be treated by transplanting bone marrow without the glutamates to
Sickle cell, you mean?
Yes, for 10. Bonus. Bohemond of Toronto led a crusader state based on the city. For 10 points each, name this ancient Syrian city in modern-day Turkey between Edessa and Tripoli. The city was named for the father of Seleucus Nicator.
Wait, that's Ptolemy, right? Wait, no.
I don't know.
Ptolemy.
Fine.
Answer?
Ptolemy.
Antioch.
Yeah.
The similarly
yeah.
named Antioch of Pisidia was home to Margaret the Virgin, who was praised in this work. Personifications of reason, justice, and rectitude invites Christine de Pizan to build the title place of this work.
This is the women thing. It's the women thing. Where the entire world is run by women.
Perlin.
Answer?
Perlin.
This is the Book of the City of Ladies. Because vinegar failed to preserve his body, this king was buried in Antioch after he drowned in the Salif River. This Holy Roman Emperor was who feuded with the Lombards was named for his red beard.
Frederick Barbarossa.
What?
Frederick Barbarossa.
Yes. Last toss-up. In a Pushkin popularized fairy tale, every time Tsar Dedan hears this sound, he sends his armies off to war. A hanged pilgrim in the Portuguese city of Barcelos was deemed innocent after a roasted corpse produced this sound. Prior to hearing this sound and repenting, a biblical man denies his Galilean heritage while sitting by a fire. In the Voluspa, Egdir's harp is interrupted by Fjalar and Gullinkambi as they emit this sound to herald Ragnarok. The sound is lethal to a creature incubated by an egg-sitting toad, the king of serpents. The sound is lethal to...
Cry of a rooster.
Yes, that's good.
Why is that? Cry of what?
A rooster.
Oh,
Crowing is like a
Nah.
way that you might more say that.
How's it toss? Am I him?
Whatever.
Am I him? How's it powered?
It was 10 points.
That's
Bonus.
not powered.
In 1888, Leo Herrera theorized that cells in this kingdom divide like a soap bubble, minimizing the surface area of the cell plate to form the shortest symmetric path. For 10 points each, name this kingdom of eukaryotes that have cell walls made of cellulose.
Plants.
I'm not.
Plants.
The soap bubble theory fails in the apical type of this undifferentiated plant tissue, since cells in it divide longitudinally to grow the tips of the shoots or roots.
Wait, it's undifferent. Xylem or flow? Xylem? You sure? Xylem?
Meristem. By contrast, animal cells usually divide down their longest axis due to the activity of this family of motor proteins. These proteins move cargo down microtubulars towards the nucleus in the opposite direction as kinesins.
I was gonna say kinesins.
Not
Answer?
Chinese.
Not kinesis.
These are dyneins. That's 10 points, and that is the end of the game. Final score, Lambert 450, John's Creek B 130. Good game to both teams.